record right now. I'm going to put everyone on mute, and then we'll take it from there.
Have you ever worried that you might be the cool kid? You wear the latest fashions on top of all the trends? Or have you ever worried you were too much in the mainstream? Always so generic, more normal than your friends? Well, we've devised a test to put to rest your fears. There's no need to panic if you lend us your ears. Tonight you can sleep easy after all that you've heard. Cause if you like the show, then you're probably a nerd. Oh, Canon, it's all. Tyler, Phil, and Boris. Oh, Canon, it's Canon, it's all in Canon.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the It's Canon podcast. It is Monday. That means it's Mandalorian Monday. The day of the week where we talk about all things Mandalorian. And boy, oh boy, do we have a fun episode today. As always, we are your hosts. I'm Boris, and this week I'm joined by Phil.
Hello, everybody. How you doing out there?
And Tyler.
Hey, I've messed up my timing so much because we're just starting and my drink is empty.
Oh, tisk, tisk, tisk. You do have a couple minutes, so you can go and refill that drink, buddy.
That's true. It's true.
This week, we're going to be talking all things Mandalorian. Phil, let's see if I can get this right. Season 2, Episode 6, Chapter 14.
You nailed it.
Boom! I got it. Still haven't screwed that up live. So, what an episode it was. We're going to be talking about all things Mandalorian. But this week, like every week, we are joined by guests so that we can talk and geek out with them. And Tyler's clearly getting a drink. No, he's not.
No, I didn't move. I'm thinking about it. I'm gonna drop a witty remark early on, and then when Phil gets going, I'm just gonna disappear.
All right. So, this week, we are joined by some awesome guests. They are known as Big T and Little T, Todd and Trent.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having us on the show.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on. Before we get started, can you guys tell us a little bit about your podcast and how you got into podcasting as a father-son duel?
Sure, yeah. So I've been a Star Wars fan all my life, basically since Empire when I was 5. And I'm part of the 501st. I have a TK. I really like Star Wars. I have a ton of Star Wars tattoos, blah, blah, blah. I really like Star Wars. And so I have 3 kids. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Jen. She's 19 years. And then I have 3 kids. So I have Jordan, who's 25. So I got to experience the prequels through Jordan. And so we got to do like Celebration 2 and 3 in Indianapolis and got to experience that kind of prequel love with him. And then Trent came along.
Yes.
And we've had, it's pretty much Star Wars like all day, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have Star Wars toys a lot.
Yeah, it's Star Wars all the time. And so when Mandalorian was coming out for season 1, I do another podcast because one podcast is not enough. And so I'm part of WSTR Galactic Public Access, and we're closing in on 200 episodes. So we're super excited about that. And so we kind of did that starting Rogue One. So I've been doing podcasting for a while. And when Mandalorian was coming around, I'm like, hey, do you want to talk about this every week? Because I think it would be cool to kind of capture that and see it from a kid's perspective. You know, not just me geeking out about a Star Wars thing, but this is a new TV show, and let's talk about that. So Trent, I said, hey, let's do this.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
how you started.
Yeah. How about you?
I usually just play video games so much.
Yeah.
And I watched Star Wars with my dad.
Yeah. And we went to Celebration Chicago.
Yes. And we went to Detroit.
We went to Detroit. So in Detroit, they had a museum exhibit of all I think it's the Costume of Galaxies exhibit, where we got to see all the costumes like up close. And so we went to Detroit because that was the closest stop.
Yeah.
We took a road trip there, and that was pretty awesome,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I saw the big fist.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, the big fist in Detroit.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
exactly.
That's
So
awesome.
it's been a journey, and so we did Mandalorian, and then we went over to Star Wars Resistance because we never saw that. We never had Disney before, so started season 1 of Resistance, and then perfect timing came back for season 2 of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
We're enjoying it, right?
Yeah, I just love Mandalorian so much.
Well, we're gonna talk about it today.
Exactly. Trent, don't worry. My life is not much different than yours. I play video games. I watch Star Wars all day. You know, as an adult, as a 35-year-old, my life's not much different.
Yeah, we definitely enjoy playing Jedi Fallen Order, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was so fun.
Yep.
Now, Trent,
That's
I
a
have to
little
ask
bit.
you.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Trent, I have to ask you, who is
What?
your favorite character in all of Star Wars?
Ooh, that's a big question.
Oh, that's gonna be a tough one.
It changes, right?
Yeah, it changes, and I think Luke Skywalker's my favorite.
You
Classic.
like Luke?
Yeah, I think that's my top favorite.
Okay. You like Kylo too.
Yeah, he's cool, and Yoda.
And Yoda. What about
Everyone
Grogu?
likes Yoda.
yes, I just like. It's just so hard to choose
It
which
is.
one.
Yes,
They're all
it is.
cool.
They are cool.
They are all cool. Well, mostly cool. Do you like Jar Jar
Yeah,
Binks?
mostly cool.
Yeah, like some people are so scared, if they say if they're trying to tame a Rancor, they just fail at it, like
Oh,
they're
the
super,
Rancor killer?
he's super scared, he's shaking.
Yeah.
Oh, you're pretty funny.
I love it.
Well, that's a little bit about us. We're from
Yeah,
Chicago,
yeah.
and we're so happy to be on this
Yes.
show. Thank you so much.
Oh, of
Yeah,
course. It's our
Chicago,
pleasure.
Chicago.
All right.
Mhm.
Phil, the floor is all yours. Take us on this tour as we chat about all things Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 6, Chapter 14.
All right, everybody. So we're going to just break it down, do a little bit of a play-by-play with the show. But first off, we all know that this episode was called The Tragedy, which was a pretty ominous sign when that credit appeared after the lighthearted kind of interactions with Grogu. I'm just wondering what our actual takeaways were of the episode. But just the overall reactions. Boris, what did you find about this thing?
Well, I think one thing I quickly said to you was I don't think this episode, being our episode, is going to be too long because not much happened. It was, we get there, there's a lot of fighting, other stuff happens, roll credits. Overall, I thought it was a pretty good episode. It was more on the filler side. We got some more Star Wars lore things, but overall, it was perfectly acceptable. Not the best episode, not the greatest episode, acceptable.
Really? I figured everyone, I'll just put it on the table. I figured it was going to be a complete filler episode. Not that I find that Star Wars, especially The Mandalorian and Dave Filoni, are really good at taking those filler episodes and making them mean something. It doesn't really apply the same way that it does with other things, with other types of shows. But I definitely felt that this was it overachieved on my expectation, just where it picked up from.
Yeah.
I didn't think that they were going to go to Tython. I just didn't think that they were going to jump into this. I figured that was going to be an end of season cliffhanger of him getting to that, putting Grogu on the stone and things like that. So it exceeded my expectations a little bit in that regard, because really, you're right, it's very action heavy, which is a good thing for a show like this. But I think that it really drove in a lot more of the elements we were expecting to be drawn out a little more. It delivered them right away. The troopers at the end, everything to me with obviously Boba Fett, and we're going to get into it, but that's what really overachieved for my own reading. Tyler, did you have any feelings about this episode?
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about during the opening bit doing the thing of this is the episode that gets me kicked off the podcast, because and I want to preface this by saying that even a bad episode of Mandalorian is better than a lot of television. But yeah, to me, this was the worst episode of the show.
Yeah, I can see that.
And we're going to go into it more as we break it down, but there's so much in this episode that it arguably detracts from other aspects of what we've been going into with this show and what Star Wars as kind of this meta narrative that we keep kind of talking about. And it seems like even the creative team behind all these shows is dancing around. It's a very ho-hum episode, and it was yeah.
I get that, man. I honestly get that. You're the second person that I've heard say this. And, like you said, like a bad Mandalorian episode is still better than a lot of other TV, especially a certain show that we're going to be talking for 10 days about. But, we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, my issue right now is, like, anytime I start any of my points I'm thinking of, like, that just becomes like a 5-10 minute thing, and I don't want to do that just yet. So let's hear from Big and Little T.
Yeah, I'm really curious what Trent and Todd thought of the overall feel of this episode.
Trent, why don't you start? What did you say?
It stinks.
Yes!
It stinks. And
you basically said, I didn't like this episode, partly because of them getting Moff Gideon getting Grogu.
Yeah, but I think I like when Baby Yoda's like choking everybody, like crying.
He was not happy. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in agreement. I mean, I don't see this totally as a filler. We were speculating after last week's. We were like, the last shot of this season is him putting Grogu on the Seeing Stone, and we're going to see a Jedi pop up, and that's the last shot. So when they opened with them going right to Tython, I was like, oh, we're really pushing the story a little bit. So I was interested on the story, but it's definitely action heavy, and there's a lot of lore that's actually tightened up here. Yeah. So I saw it as a pretty decent episode, but you were just upset because Grogu, they got Grogu.
Yeah, that's like, I thought they're gonna get him like right away, but the Boba Fett is like, nah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But the cool part is like we see those big droids. Like
the Dark Troopers.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that soon. We're gonna go through the episode. But overall, you basically the one sentence was like, I didn't like that, and I would say I liked it. But I'm curious again where this is going and what they're gonna do.
I thought Ahsoka is gonna be like the second last.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, go for it, Trent.
Go ahead.
It is like I thought it's gonna be like I said it's gonna be like a different planet like when it's I thought it's gonna be like Green, but not like so foggy.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about more, but he didn't like it, and I kind of like that. So
it's kind of the Empire Strikes Back of episodes.
Yes, correct. Because, we get a cool Moff Gideon theme. I thought the music was great. The action sequences are really well done for Rodriguez directing this. So there is some highlights, but I can understand Tyler's point about it. I get it. It.
Yeah, it's understandable. But for me, exactly that. Robert Rodriguez directed it. Obviously, they were trying to get an action-oriented episode in. Yes. They took the guy who probably is most famous for being able to cram a ton of action in for a very low budget, right?
That's a good point.
This was a very well cast from the directorial point of view by Star Wars crew. So shout out to them. And I think Robert Rodriguez probably had a lot of fun playing in that volume and playing in the Star Wars universe, right?
And we got a shot on location too.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a different take, because at first I was like, I don't know how they're doing this in the volume. There's no way. Yeah. As it progresses, I'm like, no, this is definitely shot on location.
Yeah, we should point that out. They definitely do on location shots with these shows. It's not all in the volume. This was definitely Southern California.
Yes, right. Yeah, right. Exactly.
They got in the car and drove out into the desert or the desert type area and essentially set the cameras up.
Yep. Yeah, and that's how they did it in Return of Jedi, going to Arizona. Yeah. So I think there's something to it. We're so blessed, I think, with the volume and how things are looking that when it comes back to real world, we're like, this isn't as glamorous as I thought it would be, but it's still kind of cool. I definitely like the shot on location.
Yeah, and basically we have the show opening with Mando, Din Djarin, talking with Grogu, saying his name, and Grogu immediately reacts every time with almost the same type of audio, the same type of response, which I think is interesting because he still doesn't use Grogu's name that often. I would have figured that he would invoke it, especially later on in the episode, to try and jar his attention because he knows that he gets his attention with it. But, we're playing with the little shifter knob again, which just increasingly feels like there's something more to this thing, or it's just a really hot toy for the kid. And we see him do the force trick, and then he swears. He uses his dank Varric swear word, which is a Star Wars swear, and Grogu reacts to it, which surprised me because the child immediately got upset about the fact that there was a swear, right? And he immediately dropped the toy and became defensive, and then Din had to start talking to him and addressing him and well, that nice lady Ahsoka, you know what I mean? Like he had these little references to, she basically, he's trying to gild the child into understanding that he's going to need to let him go, which I think right there sets up a really ominous tone for the episode, because already it started setting it up in my mind like, oh, I think I'm going to be upset at the end of this. I don't think this is going to go well, or it's foreshadowing for the season, right? There's a little bit of play there where I was a little bit like, oh, this is happening. And they get to Tython, they land, they fly up to the mountain, which I thought were all like
windows down though.
Yeah, windows down. And I really like the choice there because it just expedited what could have been a long drawn out scene. And it made sense.
You could have like a God of War moment where you're climbing up this mountain for like the whole episode, but
yeah,
we got right to the top right away, and I think that's where it delivered. And again, I'm not really concerned about runtime. Genndy Clone Wars 3 minutes, and I was eating those up, so you can tell a tight story in a lot of time. So I think you can do that. And I think Rodriguez does deliver, but it is a little light here. But they went right away to the top. You're like, oh, this is happening right away.
Yeah, and then we see that seeing stone there, and it's round. It started looking immediately like the shifter knob to me, which I thought.
Oh, I didn't even catch that. Yeah.
Well, I was just like, oh my goodness, like this is a theme at least. I was like taking notes in my head, like, oh, this is something. This, I don't know what. It might be nothing, but it could be something. And he throws them on there right away. The little butterflies come around, and then Grogu is in the force zone, right? And he's even got his little fingers touching, just like a true meditation type thing, right? So I thought, oh, there's a lot of cute going on here. The internet's going to love this.
Well, I mean, but I got a little Jedi Fallen Order vibe there with the meditation circle. So I took the cue from that. I was like, oh, that's cool. They're like actually kind of connecting the two with Cal. I really thought that was a cool visual, and the beacon was cool there too. Like, oh, son, he's like in, Zen Grogu mode. You're like, oh my gosh, this is for real. Like again, I thought there would be almost kind of a Rey Luke thing where, and you kind of get that a little bit, at the beginning with how Mando's talking to like, yeah, just do your Jedi thing here. You're supposed to connect. And I thought that was going to be a little drawn out, and then it's almost immediately he's like locked in. What did you think of that, Trent?
Pretty cool. And I have like 2 questions.
You have 2 questions. Okay.
So wait, what about Cal? Like, it's like kind of like it's kind of over for like the like Jedi Fallen Orders after the Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. But Mandalorian's after the Clone Wars too.
Do you think Cal could show up?
Yes.
Could be. He could be a candidate. You got to throw that in the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had.
What's your second question?
Like, how did the ball did not get destroyed from that big flash?
We'll get there in a second.
Maybe it's
the plot point.
Maybe it's
Beskar.
Yeah, Beskar.
Or something else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, those are good points. We'll get to them. I did notice that there's writing when he's in that force zone. There was some writing at the base. Now, this is really geeky, and I have to give a shout out to like the internet for pointing this out, because I would not know this otherwise. That is a language called Kitat, which is actually the original, the old tongue, and it's actually the Sith language. So I was just like, okay, it does show up in Rebels a lot, and it shows up in comic books, Star Wars comic books a lot. So this is kind of, when I found out about that, I was a little bit weirded out about it, because they made such a big deal of it in Rise of Skywalker with C-3PO not being able to speak the old tongue and whatnot. And then here it is directly, represented in this sacred site, which I think brings that Bendu kind of, I know this is like super geeky, but it evokes that whole Bendu thing of Tython the planet, because, we have the two moons supposedly orbiting it that are the light and the dark side, and this is supposed to be the balanced side of things. So it was kind of funny that you have light coming out of a Sith language, which I think is some kind of balance reference. But the language is definitely too worn to make out. We couldn't get a translation on that, so we tried. Any thoughts from Boris and Tyler about anything so far? It's all pretty...
No, I wanted to jump onto the C-3PO block thing, which was that... was that we don't know when that was put in, and we don't know who that was put in by, and that very much could have been a product of Palpatine's empire and trying to prevent anyone from looking into Sith writings.
Exactly.
And yeah, there's this kind of weird oddity that keeps coming up in the Star Wars universe of how quickly everyone forgot the Jedi existed. And it's because and one of the things they don't always convey great is the difference between the person on the ground in the Star Wars universe, who, like, most of them will live their entire lives never seeing a Jedi, and it's just kind of like, oh, those are like those, whatever. It's like these people from like way on the other
Samurai
side.
space bugs.
Whatever. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And most people are like, sure, how much of that is made up? How much of that is made bigger? And then that doesn't always communicate well with how it disappeared so quickly. As a lot of people were like, yeah, I didn't really think they were real anyways.
Yeah, they're always mystical, right? They're always never seen, but maybe talked about, but not even talked about that much. Because I think we've seen that in The Mandalorian here, where we get those chances where it's like, oh, may the Force be with you. And he doesn't say also with you or anything like that. It's just kind of like, it just kind of hangs there for him. He's just like, okay, I know to say this because the rebels say it. Yeah. It's very well communicated about that. But it's obvious he doesn't even know what the Force is, right? Ahsoka had to explain it to him in the last episode, that it's this living energy that all things have. And it's the ability to command it is the power type thing and whatnot. And it just shows the state of the universe. And I think they do delve into that a little bit in the Clone Wars and whatnot, especially this last season where Ahsoka, they're like, you're a Jedi, you know what I mean? Like she covers up the fact that she's a Jedi, and she finds out that if anything, there's a great disdain for them on Coruscant, where they'd be seen to a degree.
Yeah. The other, just to put a last little bow on it, we do know canonically from one of Kanan's adventures that at the time of Order 66, there were 10,000 Jedi in a universe with billions.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Like, there's not a lot.
But not a lot.
As much as we see them all the time. Yeah.
To me, 10,000 sounds like a huge number. But you're right, in relation to the rest.
Billions.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a small percentage.
I have I think I have a question.
Okay.
Sure.
So, I don't. Why does C-3PO like the Sith code? Why he can't say it?
Because it's apparently bad.
Maybe
that's what.
Maybe he's built by a Sith.
No, he was built by Anakin, and Anakin definitely did not put that in his programming. So I'm kind of, if we have to make a little stretch, I'm kind of with Tyler. It's something where they don't want you to know about it, and the Empire's good at shifting propaganda, and we see that in any kind of wartime event that the propaganda is pro-Empire, and these Jedi, obviously, if you kind of follow it canonically, the Jedi try to destroy the Republic, and that's the spin. that they're, in long term. So I think that's where you get kind of this expunged thing. And we're only 5 years removed at Mandalorian, but again, if you're only talking 10,000 Jedi, you almost have to have that direct correlation to say, yes, I experienced the Force, or we do like kind of a Han Solo line and say, I've been across the, I've seen a lot of things been across the galaxy, and Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no good, nothing good for a good blaster, right? And so it's like that's the realist in all of us. Like I've seen a lot of this world doing my thing, and I haven't run across any Jedi. And I think you're talking some hokey stuff, and Han's like, where'd you put this old fossil? It's like, I don't think it's that prevalent in the citizens.
So how did the war started with everything
the war in the star?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's a bigger conversation.
They haven't gone there yet, but they know we have money.
Yeah.
But it's worth a shot.
It was worth a shot. That's a bigger question for that's a different story for a different time, right?
Lucasfilm want our money to find the answer to that.
Exactly.
So basically at this point, we have Slave One make its appearance, which kind of shocked me. I'm not going to lie. Honestly, I figured that if they go to Tython, the tracking, the tracker that they put in, I figured Moff Gideon was going to show up at some point in this episode, but I wasn't expecting the Boba Fett thing. And to see the ship fly in obviously evoked the little kid in me from Empire Strikes Back days, where you saw that ship and it was, I don't know about you, Todd, but I had to have that toy when I was a kid. I had to have the Slave One toy, and even though it looked like a deformed iron,
or a lamp, like a lampshade,
it's just got that you never knew how to quite play with it, like which way's up, which way's sideways, like all this kind of stuff with it. And just to see it again in the universe was a great moment for me, at least, where I was just like, oh, I'm not crying, you're crying. It was just like, oh, wow, this is actually happening. Like they're going to go for it. And get right into it with them.
Yeah, I was just going to say too, I literally thought that they wanted, they satisfied the fans with that opening chapter and said, here, he's alive. Yeah. And I thought they weren't going to revisit that, especially how everything was progressing. I'm like, well, originally I was like, well, maybe he's looking for his armor, but he's been on Tatooine, so maybe he was just tracking Cobb Vanth and never got around to it or something. I don't know. And then when he showed up, I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. And I was the kid in the sandbox playing with Boba Fett with his wrist rockets, and said, this dude survived the Sarlacc pit and lived another day. So to see the Slave One on screen again, absolutely. I was like, this is getting interesting. I didn't honestly see that coming. So that was definitely a surprise for me.
So guys, I think I saw it on YouTube or something a long time ago, about Boba Fett.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of fan films about Boba Fett.
So I think there's
the one where he kind of crawls out and he's on the desert.
He crawls out. There's a C3PO unit in side Sarlacc, and Boba Fett just throws a grenade. And he comes out, and the stormtroopers don't even recognize him.
Well, yeah, because he's messed up.
Yeah. And there's in Jabba's palace, there's some girl or some dude.
I think this was a fan film you saw. Yeah, not canon, but yeah, maybe that's how. Maybe we have to wait and see about Boba Fett when we get our Boba Fett series, right, on Disney Plus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you're Boris, you're glitching.
That's okay.
Yeah. You're glitching.
He's always glitching. So we get right into it, which surprised me with Din kind of going down there and getting into that Mexican standoff, right? The three-way standoff where Fennec Shan is unveiled back into the story from a filler episode that everybody on the internet was on fire about. What a waste of an episode. But really, we got Boba Fett. We got a character coming back. We've got, it makes you go back and look at the first season a little bit differently through a different lens, right? Which Dave Filoni is famous for that in his writing. So we've got them all kind of like talking about this, and he tells Mando, like he just tells Din Djarin, that he's a simple man making his way through the galaxy, like my father before me. And it's almost the exact words that were used in Attack of the Clones when Obi-Wan was interviewing Jango Fett. And he was just like, I'm just a simple bounty hunter a simple man making my way through the universe with my son. Right. And it was just a really funny thing where I'm like, oh, wow, that's a nugget that the writing team cutted. You know, they're taking the big complaint from probably the worst offending prequel movie for dialogue and reusing it in an effective way. And I think that was a little bit of a shout out for the writing crew to reuse that. It was a little hokey too. I'm not gonna lie.
But it's hokey enough where it gets the feels and like actually shows again recognition of the prequel. So I'm okay with that, you know.
So how like I forgot it.
Okay, it's okay. It'll come back. It'll come back,
my friend.
But one thing I did want to bring up was, one thing we've talked a lot about on this show is the fact that you have like a bunch of characters like Ahsoka, you have Boba Fett, you have, Bo-Katan and others who make the one-time appearance, and kind of, I've always been talking about that payoff. What's the payoff? Is it going to be a one-time thing, or are they going to be coming back? And I like the fact that this episode actually started bringing people back. It's now we see that there is going to be a payoff. When that payoff is, we'll see, but it's at least all coming together, and it's not just a bunch of random adventures that, got us fans all up in arms and happy this time, but up in arms. But now we're seeing where this story is actually going, and I know we're going to talk about it, but it's good seeing that we're bringing back other characters from season 1 and kind of going with this. And, now we know that, the rest of the 2 episodes are essentially going to be kind of like one mission.
Yeah. And that was the case last season too, right?
Yeah,
they started circling back on the last 2 episodes and like, well, we're going to bring back Queel. We're going to bring back IG-11. We're going to, it assembled. It was like Avengers Unite.
Yeah.
And here we're the same type of thing.
Yeah.
It very much is drawing on those samurai and Western films again of bring together the posse, get the heroes back together for whatever the challenge du jour is.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And we had that pretty cool thing with Fennec Shand showing off her new Android internals, which I thought was kind of funny and unbelievable at the same time. Like cool, but
it's a convenient flap. Like here's my Android parts for you. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I think it's cool because again, when not to knock on the sequel trilogies, but you have these plot points that you get to see again. And for me, Gunslinger was the weakest of season 1. But we got that nod at the end, with the little jangle boots, and you're like, is that Boba Fett? And you're like, I don't know. Again, it was just like, is that something that we're going to return? And it's very, we're seeing these recurring carriers come up, just same with like the New Republic pilots coming back, that's thread. And I'm a firm believer they're going to show up in the next 2. I feel like that.
Yeah.
I think that's great that they put in these threads and that we're going to revisit them. And so again, even with the throwaway kind of with the Cobb Vanth episode, I'm like, they show Boba Fett, okay, but now he's actually being part of the plot, and I was like, this is fantastic. I love it.
Sorry, go ahead.
I got my question back.
Okay, you got your question back. Okay.
So like from like isn't like Clone Wars when Jango Fett's like if you like when the movie comes up in the theaters so like if you're a kid watching it you do not know Jango Fett is a Mandalorian.
You don't, right?
But the weird part is when Obi-Wan walks by the Mandalorian armor, he does not even see it.
What this Jedi is not very observant, right?
Yeah, he's like.
And then he told Boba, and I think it's Huddis, hey, you'll shut the door.
Yeah, but
the
weird part,
and Obi-Wan doesn't know Huddis, apparently. Yeah. I don't know.
It's actually quite funny that you bring that up because
Yes.
they rewrote
Yeah.
a little bit of the lore. Phil, do you want to get into that now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. So originally in Clone Wars, one of the magistrates or whatever from Mandalore had said that Jango Fett was nothing but a bounty hunter that had stolen the armor. So that was the reference that we were going by. But it was also, now it's being spun out. There was a line of comics made by Marvel that were classified as legends about the origin story of Jango Fett.
Yeah, that's Dark Horse. Yeah, it's the Dark Horse.
No, it's actually made by Marvel. I found them last night. And they classified them right on the cover as legends. So this was
a lot of the time when that happens, that means that they rebought the Dark Horse.
Yeah,
it means Dark Horse developed it and they bought it and published it. Because Dark Horse
it was original run by Dark Horse. Yeah. It's the story open season, right? Or something. Yeah,
something like that.
Something like that. Not the cartoon. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
This is Django's. Yeah, where he's kind of like a foundling in a sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Basically, that's what they canonized in this episode because of the chain that Django shows him at the end. It basically means that whole comic is now could be categorized as canon because it is lifted even down to the names out of it are lifted right out of that comic book. So now we have basically Boba Fett is the son of Django. Well, actually, he's a clone of Django.
Right.
But he is the actual owner of. He's a Mandalorian. He's a foundling, same as Din Djarin.
At least according to Din Djarin and his cult.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
As we're seeing now, is the cultural differences. Maybe that the other ones don't. Bo-Katan doesn't recognize that.
Yeah. Well, and didn't you think like Bo-Katan almost used it as a swear word? Like this is the way. Like to Jin, it's like she's almost mocking the code in a sense from his perspective to her, and I was like, oh, that's kind of a deep cut. It's almost like throwing something like from a Jedi perspective, like when you do throw out "May the Force be with you" when you don't technically believe it, like even Han in A New Hope, like when he goes to Luke, he's like, "May the Force be with you." I'm like, Han, we know you don't believe that, and I feel like that what we saw a little bit with Bo and Din is like. She definitely doesn't believe in his creed of Mando. So I like there's a different dichotomy in that as well.
Yeah.
So like, how does Darth when Anakin was a little boy?
Yes.
How Yoda know he was gonna turn into a dark he
didn't know.
I know, but the flame trooper
the flame trooper.
Yeah, the flame trooper.
What about the flame trooper?
Did they have flame trooper like
what we saw in Mando?
Yeah.
Not in the. I mean, there could have been.
Yeah.
In that time, but they start building up the Empire as soon as Anakin turned.
But was when she showed the robot stuff, I don't know, that was pretty weird and stuff. She shows her body parts.
Yes. Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's a convenient flap. It's like, here's my Android parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, but.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we're gonna move forward here because we have the stormtroopers that come in. They make their appearance now, and they come in these ships that are very similar to, I guess, the ones used in Force Awakens, but they're actually different. They're legit Rebellion or Empire product. They're not the same ones. So we have them come in
based on World War II landing boats.
Yeah, they were and that shot of basically Fennec shooting into them really brought back a lot of the World War II movie feel for me about the landing and the invasions and whatnot on the beaches and just getting cut down. Because I'm sure the stormtroopers that survived this encounter, if there was any, well, I guess not, but they would have been like, oh man, we're just getting decimated. It would have been just one of those situations.
It also had this very Clone Wars feel to it.
Yeah, I really liked it. I liked the portrayal of it. I liked the military kind of thing. And then the only thing that I found annoying was that stormtrooper leader was so incompetent.
Yeah.
Like that bugged me because he's just
Yeah.
like, keep on moving, and he's like, we're just getting fired upon. No, I gave you an order, and then the guy
They
just
should
gets
know. They should know. This is like higher ground, lower ground. They should know this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it definitely has a good feel. You get a little tied to the sequel trilogy because we get like these drop ships that are now Imperial, which I like. But yeah, it's like the squad leader was very incompetent and saying, "Keep on moving," and I don't like seeing TKs blow up. But there's a lot of TKs that blow up in this episode.
Yeah.
I'm a little sensitive to the TKs.
Yeah. So
Like why do you train all these years? You have this armor and it does nothing for you. What is
Yeah.
going on?
one
It's
shot.
quite literally
One shot.
plastic.
Yeah. I want to believe in my heart that they're shocked and they're coming back, but some of
They're
these in this episode are not coming
Yeah,
back. We'll get
many
to
of
that
them are
in a
not.
So,
yeah,
so,
some of them are clearly not.
so which one? Hampshire Baby Yoda. I forget the name.
Oh, the Dark Troopers.
Oh,
We're
Dark
gonna get to
Troopers.
those in a second. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Those guys are actually competent. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it. We see this trope. It is a trope through Star Wars where that TKs and stormtroopers can't hit anything, and clearly the guy in the E-Web did not understand gravity and a stone. But all these are things that like it just seems so odd that you come out and you're just getting picked off. You think they would have a little bit more.
Yeah.
better military tactics.
Yeah.
It,
So,
it
like-
goes back to that meme.
Yeah.
You can go.
I was gonna say, it just goes back to that meme of Mandalorian. Din Djarin is the only person who knows military tactics in the entire galaxy.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It's funny though because we saw some of the heavy equipment getting pulled out. The E-Web cannon. We saw a mortar, which we don't often see in Star Wars.
Yes.
Shout out to Fearless Fred on his Mud 79 for reviving the mortars. I thought that was a funny coincidence. Seeing
we
them
saw
on
a
screen.
mortar, which
Yeah.
benefits from indirect fire, set up in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They ignore all benefits of having a mortar.
yeah,
Right. You should launch a mortar from cover, not just like, oh, I'm going to plop down here and just
It was
pop it up here.
it was the most video game mortar ever. Like here's
Oh,
this
yeah.
perfect target for you to destroy.
and I actually did like when I saw the rock move. Like there was a few instances in the edits of this episode that I try to avoid complaining about, but the E-Web cannon and the mortar fire right into that rock that
do
Fennec's hiding
nothing.
behind. The rock moves. In one shot, there's a huge cloud of dust. The next second, it's completely clear. There's no more dust. There's no more explosion. It's just a loose rock.
Yeah.
And she decides to kick it down, and we get the most Raiders of the Lost Ark moment I've ever seen, with these stormtroopers just getting like munched. And naturally, it stays right on course and nails that E-Web cannon, right? Which we know
There's
it's a real
nothing
big
to be
pain.
out of the way.
Yeah.
Right. It's a clear path right down the hill. Here you go.
Yeah.
And
Like
no
one
rocks
step
to-
left, guys. One step left.
Yeah, this is
That's
the
what
part
I'm
of the
saying.
episode where I get saucy.
Yeah, like the E-Web guy is like, guy, you're not going to be able to blow that up. Just move out of the way. You just
He's
have to. He just keeps on shooting.
I will not give up. Here's my duty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually would have been really happy if he did blow it up and he was fine. That would have been a delight. It would have been like, oh snap! But
And while this
Nope.
is all going on, we get this great cut sequence, which I really did enjoy, of Boba using that bantha toothbrush and just wiping people out. Right.
like
And
that?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought that it actually reminded me of the character from Rogue One, the blind guy,
Oh,
which
sure.
I really
Yeah.
liked him. Yeah, I really liked his sequence with the stormtroopers, and I liked that this had more impact. Like the helmets were breaking,
Yes.
and that he
Yeah.
was very brutal in his assault of them. I found that was a little bit of a departure for most Star Wars, where it's just like, oh, I got hit by a laser and I died. This was real, like
It was
samurai type
brutality.
combat.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what you get with Rodriguez, especially that cool low shot with the graffiti stick down low. I mean, like,
Yeah.
this is, I thought the same thing. I'm like, not only does it floss teeth, but it can kill stormtroopers. I mean, I thought it was super, super kind of cool about that. And then, I think this is where Rodriguez delivers with the physicality of the scene. And we got to see a little bit of that, like you said, in Rogue One. We got to see the some of the parts coming off the TK in Rogue One, and we get to see a lot of that in this one, which I did enjoy that part.
So why did Boba Fett revive that girl? Why?
He needed help to get off of Tatooine, I think. Yeah, we're gonna find out more.
Yeah.
Tune in next week.
Yeah.
So Tyler, you were saying that you were getting a little salty here. Let's hear it. Let's bring it on.
This is maximum salt. Well, I mean, so Boba Fett in Return of the Jedi is literally killed by accident.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's this weird, and I've talked about this before, this weird obsession with Boba Fett he's so elite, guys. He's like the best. He's such a powerful guy. And I'm like, we've literally never seen him do anything.
This is the most
literally never seen.
This is the most generational Star Wars speak ever. Like, Boba Fett in general is as polarizing as Ewoks. Depending on your age, you see him as a buffoon or very cool. Clearly, you and I see him the same way, Tyler. Go ahead.
What? But it's because like literally that toy, the Boba Fett toy, is what turned people around. And they were like, this is one of the cooler looking characters. And to his credit, from the original Tridge, one of the best costume designs.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, and then I don't know. You guys have been enjoying, from another point of view, number 2. But his story in number 1, if that's canon, he is like a multiple personality person.
Yeah. I agree with that.
That's true. Well, you know what? As a kid, all right, he looked cool, but he was also probably the most fan-fictioned character in Star Wars from a kid's point of view. Like
sure.
he looked so cool that we attributed him with so much, and they wrote about it in all these books. You know, they talk about the knee missiles, they talk about all this stuff. But yeah, his screen time was like less than 3 minutes. He's got like virtually no lines, and he gets killed by the defective jetpack, like by a blind guy. It's you just can't, like it's maximum hokey writing. Which Star Wars does, and that's you gotta hug it, right? You gotta lean into it. And here we have the redemption of that character.
Yeah, it's very similar to George basically said in Return of the Jedi he didn't know what to do with Boba Fett, so he made it a kid's gag and threw in let the Sarlacc burp, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, if this famed bounty hunter was supposed to do anything, it was very slapstick, and I'm kind of on Camp Boba because that's when, I was a kid, and because he's a masked super commando, you could be Boba Fett. And I think that faceless kind of character resonates with, the OT boys. Right. And, and again, that's where it kind of all that lore, all that fan lore, we all know, like, oh man, he should have survived, or he did survive. And, he definitely, in this episode, you get a very realistic, brutal portrayal of like someone that survived Tatooine and did his thing and got out of the Sarlacc pit. He's a fighter. And I really enjoy that, but yeah, I get it. And then it's same thing with the Ewoks. If you grew up, if you came in that right age, you love the Ewoks. Like, again, I was a little bit older when Return of the Jedi came out. I'm like, these teddy bears. How can teddy bears take out the Empire? I don't get it. But like, these are themes. Yeah. These are themes overall in Star Wars, And honestly, Boba Fett and Darth Maul have the same kind of path where they kind of got killed off too early canonically in the movies, but these other side stories kind of build them back up. And Darth Maul has become one of the coolest, crime lord type thing. Yeah. I love it. I love that. I love his obsession with Obi-Wan. I just love all what they've done with him. And I'm getting the same vibes with this kind of Boba Fett thing. Like, yeah, he got kind of punked out, but now we get to see a little bit more of him. And I think that's, I think that's cool. I think that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, I never actually considered the parallels between Boba Fett and Darth Maul. So that's a really great point.
Yeah, it's just it's they kind of follow a similar path. Like, again, Boba Fett is kind of that marketable person, in the original trilogy, and then Darth Maul is all over packaging and merchandising, and for episode 1, and then he's gone. And it's like, oh, dude, that's such
in
a
the
cool
sequel
character.
trilogy. It's Phasma.
Yes.
You know, another underused, poorly realized character, but looked great and sold toys.
And sold
Did
right,
Phasma
but
sell toys?
Yeah.
maybe not.
Well,
Maybe
they
not.
put it
Those-
on everything. They put it on everything.
No, they definitely tried to sell toys. I just wasn't aware of those numbers. That was not
Yeah,
me
no.
trying to be like, damn it.
Yeah,
I was like,
no.
did
No,
they?
but
No, it
I
was
have
legit.
Captain Phasma glasses in my cupboard. I have Phasma everything for a while. Like every gift that people were like, oh, look, new Star Wars stuff that Phil doesn't have. Everything that was coming in had Phasma on it. And I was like, oh, this is cool.
Well, I remember that Vanity Fair spread, right, where she's kind of by the fire and it's like kind of burnt out a little bit, and she's got the staff with the cape. You're like, oh, this. I hope they do something with her. This would be really cool, because the biggest kind of marketing thing they did was like, it doesn't matter who's behind the armor. It could be a girl or a woman or a species. It doesn't matter, right? And I get that, and I'm totally for that. But it's just like it was just a totally underused character.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
Boba Fett, like, let's just go back to like Mandalorian.
Let's do it.
So like,
Okay, sure.
Thanks for keeping us on track, man.
so when Boba Fett like beat up all of the guys with the the staff.
The staff.
Yeah, like the stormtroopers are trying to shoot him, like, but they miss every single time.
Yes.
But like, I like the cool moves when he did, like, busted up the helmets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he even like stabbed a guy. I was like, I mean, again, you can get away with a lot without showing him much, you know. And you know, it's great. I mean, it's great. I mean, again, I'm looking at a kid that can watch this, and we understand that Boba Fett is not messing around,
Yes.
and he's brutal, and and you get that very directly through just how this is shot, and I like that.
So like, Boba Fett is like he just picks up the captain and he just like stabs him, beat him up.
Yeah, he wasn't messing around.
But I wish they made like a Boba Fett game, like you had like.
Oh, okay,
like,
here we go.
Like if you had like you could do like stab them like with the clubs and stuff. That'd be pretty cool.
Let's see if we'll talk to Disney, okay?
Yeah. Just, like,
Someone
not,
talk
like,
to EA right away.
Yeah, EA will get around it right away.
Yeah. It's already in production.
Might be.
Yeah, it could be.
Oh, man.
and we see him, he gets his armor, and then he becomes Dad Bod Boba Fett. Right?
I like that take. Sorry, no. Dad
it was
bod
just-
with a dress.
Yeah, because like I know I've already seen leaks on the internet where I know we're not supposed to talk about the spoilers. Today is obviously Monday, so we can. But I saw somebody post like regular Mandalorian, Dad Bod Mandalorian with Din and Boba in the shot, right? And I'm just like, yeah, this is gonna be a thing.
It's funny because like
So
when I saw that,
you mentioned that. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because really up close, like I've seen the Boba Fett costume up close, the one in Detroit, and then there was another one that came through Chicago like in early 2000s, and it's literally just cargo pants. It's cargo pants.
Oh, yeah.
And and the armor. So when you see kind of this like armor top half and his little like jogging pants on the bottom, it's like, oh, this is how we're doing it. It's a little more casual.
So like,
Did you like the look? Did you like the look?
I like the look, but I never noticed like that thing. It's going back and forth, like.
Oh, the little LED thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
I never
yeah.
noticed.
That's new.
Nice. That's
But-
new. Yeah.
So, like Boba Fett, like in terms of Jedi, why was it like he was watching like everything, like he was like kind of like scouting out.
Because Jabba paid the big bucks and he wanted to make money.
Yes.
So yeah.
But the weird part is like, why did not Boba Fett just like kill like kind of like the tentacles off with the flamethrower?
These are things that we're trying to get answered right
Yes.
now. These are things.
I know,
Yeah.
but I wish if he did like burn off like had the flamethrower just burned off the tentacle and he just like
Well, we
jetpacked
know
out.
we're gonna assume that the Mandalorian Alvar helped them to get out of the Sarlacc pit because he doesn't look good. He's
Yes.
kind of scarred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's seen a lot of sun.
Yes.
Tatooine suns.
Yeah, but
What does Jar Jar say? It does murder to his skin. So that's kind of what Boba Fett looks like.
it's kind of like tanny, kind of like
Yeah.
he's like
Double suns
Yes.
does not do well. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he's looking a little rough, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And we see another stormtrooper carrier come down, and then everything goes off the chain. Din can't get Grogu out of this force thing and basically walks away. The minute he walks away from him, it ends naturally. And Grogu decides that he needs a nice like little sleep after all this.
Gotta.
And then
Time.
we have like the full on the three of them going crazy on these stormtroopers. And Boba in the full armor with the knee rockets and everything. And the whistling birds, and we have every Mandalorian trick coming out to excite the inner child in all of us. And this
we get
is
a
the
cool
stuff that I
kinda,
enjoy.
like duo. We get a cool duo with Din and Fennec too.
Yeah.
Like just like we've seen this. I would say like with Rodriguez, like with what was the vampire one? Kind of back to back.
Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes, thank you. We get to kind of see that back to back, and I mean those are cool little things. Again, we know that Stormtrooper armor doesn't work, but we know that Beskar is the best, and he uses that as a tactic to help save the people around him, which I thought was kind of cool too.
But is there like any time with like the stormtroopers come to zombies that like zombies?
Oh, that's a different book. We'll wait for that. Okay, maybe they'll pull that in season 3. Okay, yeah.
Maybe
I love it.
maybe like I think I have a guess for like next season. Maybe,
Okay, we'll wait till that to the end. Okay.
Like maybe I don't know.
Yeah, and we get probably one of the more shocking moments here when like we see Boba Fett just destroy the two ships, obviously with his backpack, which I thought was funny because he was aiming for the other one. I went back and rewatched.
I gotta say, I gotta stop you there, Phil. When he said that line, I was aiming for the other one. I did the ultimate Leonardo DiCaprio meme. Ha! Like just pointing at the screen and laughing.
Yeah, that was good. That was very Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yep. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, and like he was aiming for the other one. I did look at it, and I'm like, oh wow, this is great. A happy coincidence, ties up the story, and then we move into basically what a lot of my friends thought was the real title for the show, the tragedy. The Razor Crest is one-shotted into complete oblivion. Like, this is.
I'm on that page. I thought that was because there's a moment. Again for the Falcon, right? If we're doing Han, Falcon is its own character in Star Wars, and I feel like they built this very well with the Razor Crest. And we see Jawa's taken apart, but it gets built. Him and Creel build it back up. We see Mon Calamari fishnet it together, and this thing still stays together. And so you feel like it's a character and there's a connection between him and Mando and the ship, and so. That to me is the title because it gone.
There is no rebuilding this one.
Yeah, we finally get to see a turbo laser from space do something good, and it destroyed.
Yeah, and I know that he's going to be browsing the used spaceship apps on his phone and be like, I need a certain era Razor Crest.
Could like go to cars.com. Can we search?
So a funny conspiracy theory that's going around because I don't know if any of you have the Lego Advent calendar, but do you know what the little toy was? The little build was the day that came out. It was the Razor Crest.
We have it.
Yep.
And was that we opened it the same day it was destroyed?
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is that Hasbro have done a huge fundraiser, like a Kickstarter, for an absolutely massive Razor Crest toy. Mm-hmm. And now it's being memed like crazy because they're putting it into shots of Din Djarin, and they're like like putting the Hasbro toy in there, and they're like, I'll bet you he wishes he had it now. And like there's legitimate kind of outrage from some of the fans that ponied up like the $300 to get this thing.
Yeah.
That they're like, it's gone. Like
It's a collector's item now, guys.
Yeah, right. It's vintage.
Yeah.
It's already vintage.
So maybe before after like the show, maybe we can like tell our favorite parts of the like in Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
Favorite parts.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I know that I bought the Lego Razor Crest, and I'm already feeling like, oh man, that's just eating up a ton of space on my shelf, and it's not around anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like instantly Lego sales die on that product.
You can
Right,
move that
yeah.
soccer ball. That soccer ball
But
doesn't need to
there's-
be there behind you.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
Exactly.
So
what
the-
two things survive though, Trent? What two things survive?
The ball,
The silver ball?
or maybe it's
Maybe it is Beskar?
yeah,
maybe it's Beskar.
It could be. It could
maybe
be.
and a
Oh.
spear.
And the spear. Yeah.
Yep. All important, to keep the cohesiveness of the season together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
These are
Mhm.
things that we know it foreshadows a Din reuniting with Grogu at some point. So we can have some hope because we do see the Dark Troopers fully realized on film, flying down, grabbing Grogu and taking off again. Boba offers to go after them and Din asks him not to, just because he doesn't want the child hurt. And then we find out at the end that they're going to basically stick around with Din and help him retrieve the child. They're in his debt.
Yeah. I gotta say, the Dark Troopers looked even more like Cylons in this episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
Big-
Dark Troopers, when like in an old school video game.
When I was like, I was a little older than you, but yes, yeah. I mean, if you told myself when I was playing on my 486 with 8 megs that this would come to play in 2020, I wouldn't even believe it. But they definitely, again, that they're killing machines that are designed to do one thing, and I love that they're super efficient and did the job.
Yeah, but
They look cool too.
But who were you in the game? Who were
They
you?
were Kyle Katarn.
Who's Kyler Tan?
Well, he kind of stole the Death Star plans and all this stuff, but it's not canon. Don't worry about
It's
it.
not canon, but it's fun.
Except Dark Troopers are not. No, it was basically the whole plot is that they're building a new stormtrooper, and it was an automated stormtrooper.
I mean, like I thought who's the guys who's in charge who wants to get
Moff Gideon.
Marv Gideon's gonna be like one of the black
Oh, you thought he was going to be like a mech?
Yeah.
Which
I thought he was.
be kind of cool too. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
he's got the dark saber. That makes him cool.
I want Mandalorian to get the dark saber so bad.
What about Bo-Katan though? She should get it. Or do you want Mando to get it? He'll take the throne. He'll take the throne as Mandalorian.
Exactly.
Right.
Boys rule, girls drill.
Oh no.
No.
True Star Wars fans right there.
We're gonna get fan outrage.
Yeah, we're
now.
gonna. Oh, Trent. We like girls though. You.
Yes, I like girls, but some girls I do not.
Oh yeah.
That's fair.
That's fair. That's fair.
It is fair.
I have an ex-wife that falls. No.
Oh no.
Moving swiftly along. Move along.
Yeah. So it's at this point like Boba really shows him the chain code, and this is where I'm gonna get a little geeky again, right? The language is Mandoa. There's an actual Mandalorian language, and it has been translated on the internet.
Oh, I love it.
Foundling took into the year the Concord Dawn mentor Jaster Father Fett Boba Fett was what that chain code said. So that basically the Jaster is the reference to the comic book. That was the guy who rescued Jango Fett. And so it's basically he comes from Concord Dawn, which is a moon or another planet in the Mandalorian system. So all that basically went down when you don't even realize it as a fan because it's in a really weird language. And so that solidifies
I think
him.
that's great. I think that's great. Again, that it ties right back into the comic with open season. And Jaster is one of those kind of characters that had the Mandalorian armor, was portraying like Boba Fett, and there's a lot of cool things there. Yeah, I dig it. I mean, that's what it should be. You don't have to explain everything. I don't want to be explaining everything on screen. And for the nerds, for people that really want to get into it, then that's what they should do. I mean, there's so many name drops, even in, I go back, obviously like Empire, where Han mentions this thing, well, the bounty hunter I met on Ord Mantell, change
Changed
things.
my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't see that. I mean, they did a comic, a little comic about it, but like from just if I'm viewing the movies, we don't see that, and everything we see in Mandalorian now, I mean, it should be deep cuts. There should be deep cuts that are not like, hey, look at this blue milk, like in Rogue One or something like that. Like just make it cool, and and if there is some tie-in, that's great. It shouldn't just be trying to throw in all this fan service. I mean, it's a little bit there, but it's not as much, like just let the world building be there. And I like that stuff.
No,
it's also what I like about it a lot also is the fact that, you're getting the world building and we still get to use our imaginations a lot of the time. And that, for me, that's part of Star Wars. Star Wars, you always built up stories in your head. You played with your toys. You always did these extra adventures, the Zaki and Wayne adventures of Luke Skywalker and whoever else toys you had. So, I like the fact that we can still, not everything needs to be explained. Not everything needs to make sense today. There's still a lot open for us to explore down the road or explore with our imagination. And for me, that's what makes Star Wars Star Wars.
And right, and it helps. I think that strengthens the community. It's like, hey, I was thinking about this. Did you think about that? And like that what if kind of stuff, or what are your question about the community really helps. Bring fans together and talk about that stuff. I think that's great. It shouldn't always be explained. And again, I really do like what they're doing in season 2 with these little previews, just like a little bit, because like it's almost saying, this actually meant something last time you saw it. Like when they, even with the frog lady and the robot, with the droid, you're like, oh, they're bringing back the IT guy. Okay, great. It's just like, but they show these little bits, and then we got to see the footsteps. You're like, oh, this is actually tying in together. And even me, I was like, it's still not Boba Fett, but it was Boba Fett.
I want to do this every single Monday. Like, talk about Mandalorian.
All right.
I just like hanging out. I like hanging out. That's fun.
You gotta go.
What's funny though is that they do the call with the Spurs, right, in that in that episode. But for this whole episode, Boba Fett never made the Spur sound.
Yeah.
Different boots. The boots are gone, right? The boots are in the Sarlacc pit, so he's got a.
But they were there a year ago when he found Fennec. So. It's just funny how they use audio for those cues when it's convenient for the story or when they want to tip us off. And then it's like, you know what? It's not as important. The other funny bit that I wanted to bring up was that Death Watch killed Django's parents. Jaster saved them and then put them into a group called the True Mandalorians. So technically, Din and Boba are actually opposite. Yeah, they're politically opposite as far as the Mandalorian spectrum goes. But as we know, there's not enough Mandalorians around to really be pursuing these types of divisions. That's Bo-Katan's kind of take on it. Like, I'm going to snub my nose at you, but I'm going to accept you because we gotta stick together.
But Django got killed by Mace Windu.
He sure did.
But that Death Watch killed his mom?
Killed his parents before he got the Mando armor. Yeah. So he was safe too. He was safe just like Din was saved from the the Clone Wars, the robots. The super battle droids. Yeah.
I know, but
but they're kind of on opposites. This is where they're saying Death Watch is not the best.
I know.
Yeah.
But is
I kind of see the parallels. I kind of see the parallels too with kind of Ahsoka's journey and Din's journey. Like, just the fact that, she's still a Jedi. She's just not part of this Jedi order, right? And I think, I was hoping they would explore that a little bit with her interaction. Like, hey, but obviously she doesn't know the backstory of Din. She just is more worried about Grogu. But I just like how I think that kind of plot point of Din trying to find out who he is and what that is and all that kind of stuff will be done in season 3,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So
for sure. What's up, Trent?
So I like how when Mandalorian says Grogu, he just responds funny.
It's kind of like having a new I I don't know. It's kind of goes both with a pet and just having something fun
I know.
to interact and communicate.
I know.
Because he doesn't know if he understands them. Very
I
much
know.
like I don't know if you understand me half the time. You know. So when we connect, we kind of laugh. We're like, oh my gosh, you're talking the same thing as me. I kind of see that as well as just like when you have a pet, it's like, oh, we have a connection. Your ears perk up like when with Charlie, our dog. Like he knows that's his name, you know, and he just laughs when he's like, oh, that's funny, you know.
So like half of the time we do like we do a lot of podcasting.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite part of Star Wars
is what?
Like when like I think my favorite one is like when the Clone Wars just knocks down like the battle droid, like when he's coming by.
Are you talking about Attack of the Clones?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like,
wow, that's a deep cut.
Like nobody has seen it, nobody has seen it.
Oh no, right.
No, like it's like a secret. The secret.
It kind of, it's a little goof in there.
Yeah. I think
just like the insect boys in there. They're in there.
I don't know why I say my favorite one.
All right, we got to get back on track. Let's get back on track. Okay. I'm getting you back on track.
Okay. I think that's not my favorite, but that's my second favorite.
Okay.
So we basically get all of them piling in a Slave One, going to Navarro and meeting up with Cara Dune. Din goes in, and she's basically like officially, that badge has officially made her a Marshal of the Republic, and as such, she has access to the files. And Din basically is looking for Mayfield there, so he needs him from that other kind of filler episode, right, where they did do that heist episode. I think it was 6, and you know, he wants to find him. It's kind of funny though, because they've already isolated all the pictures that slide by, and it looks like most of the other people that are fingered in the slides are the ones from episode 2 of the season that tried to kidnap Mando. They're in those files as well. So it was interesting how it all kind of drew together. And there's this consistency. Maybe it's just because they had the makeup on, they took a picture and put their mugshot in to just do the filter as she slid by them. And she's basically apprehensive about helping him, but then Mando, like Din, tells her they've got Grogu. And then we cut to Moff Gideon basically going to see Grogu in his cell. And the kid, I know Trent's going to like this, the kid was just using the Force, like each hand, just like a puppeteer. Right. And he's just playing with these stormtroopers. And it's probably the most Force I've ever seen out of this kid. And I know people will say, well, he's choking them, which is kind of a dark side thing. But we have to remember Luke did this as well in Return of the Jedi. He choked some of the Gamorrean guards when he was going into Jabba's palace.
Yeah.
So this is really just a Force thing.
And I think it's just like anything, like a feral part of him just tapping into that, because he screamed when he got taken, which was very sad. And then you know he's desperate. And we also know that through our experience that it makes him sleepy. It does, because it takes a lot out of him. And so you know all this exaggerated things he's doing with the Force. He's putting everything he can to make it happen. You know.
Yeah.
So
you were kind of you didn't like this part, or you did like this part.
I did.
Yeah.
But I think I like one, like if is Baby Yoda gonna stay with Mando, or like Bo-Katan and Mandalorian are gonna stay together, like be the king and queen.
Oh wow. Okay, there you go.
Baby Yoda is like they're like he's like like
their baby.
Yeah, like their little baby.
Maybe. I just what I thought too. Again, you know, we didn't get heavy Moff Gideon, but I like that as much as we, as you know, a viewer looks at the innocence of a child, he definitely sees this as an asset, which is very Emperor Palpatine like, in that he just like taunts him with the darksaber, you know, which I thought was kind of interesting too. Like
it was interesting that he, you know, oh, you'll put your eye out, right? And which is a huge reference to the Christmas Story. Yeah. Right, when we were growing up, you'll shoot your eye out.
Kid. Yeah, right.
It's kind of funny because Jon Favreau is best friends with the kid from that show, and he put him in Iron Man as one of the scientists.
Elf. He was also an elf.
So,
it was an elf. Yeah.
So is why maybe he Moff Gideon wants Mandalorian like Baby Yoda to turn to the dark side.
Possibly. I think he's
Yeah.
just looking for his blood. I mean, that's or
I know,
trying to
but
clone him or something.
I know.
don't
I want Mandalorian to just come in, beat all the bad guys, get Baby Yoda out somehow. But I want like Star Trooper like a Mandalorian to like kind of like push like
You want a bunch of Wilhelm screams.
yeah like pick him up like a gorilla slime and like Mandalorian just run out Star Troopers out the
I love it.
Okay, well, we got some ex-MMA fighters. We got some wrestling references. We can. I think we can make that happen. We'll email Jon Favreau and Filoni and say, hey, can you put that in for at least season 3? I mean, hopefully in season 2, but
Do you smell like the rock is
no.
Well, we
I
have
like this
Sasha
kid.
Banks too, right?
Yeah, Sasha Banks.
We had Sasha Banks. We need her in there. She can do some wrestling moves there too.
Like, maybe like do you know like how like Batman like when he does like the in the Lego movie when like Robin's like kicking all of them like pow. That was really funny.
Yes, maybe we could do that with the Beskar staff.
Oh yeah, like
That's true.
yeah.
I think we can make it happen.
could happen.
Or
It could
like a Matrix reference, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd
Well,
be
you haven't
pretty
seen the
cool.
Matrix.
I love it.
Anyway, okay, let's get back on track.
Okay.
So yeah,
go.
we have Moff Gideon like playing with his own stormtroopers, which I thought was an interesting choice, and it just shows how maniacal he is. And then they stun him, put the cutest pair of handcuffs you've ever seen on the child.
Yeah, so like, do they have like? Does he go to the species and like, okay, we have a Wookiee one, we have Transcendent one, a Gamorrean one. Oh, here's Baby Grogu one.
This has got to be in your TK kit now. I think every TK
I need
is
to
going
have
to
like
have the tiny shackles.
It's kind of like a Zoolander reference. I need like the tiny little cell phone. I need like a tiny little binder cuffs on my I have binder cuffs. I just don't have Grogu size binder cuffs.
My cousin named Baby Hannah she has small hands.
Right. Well, maybe I'll model and try to figure it out. Yeah.
Oh, it's too funny. That's awesome. So yeah, that's our episode for the week as far as Mandalorian goes. We're in a good position, I think, going forward for the next 2. Like the season finale is building now. That's for sure. Trent, what was your favorite part?
I think my favorite part is
With Boba Fett fighting, I think.
I think that was my favorite part of like all of.
One scene we didn't mention was Fennec dropping back and doing that sniper shot. That we were both like, oh.
Yeah, she never misses.
She never misses, which was you saw that play out throughout the whole episode. Yeah. So that I think that we were both like, yeah.
I just want like Mandalorian get like the club
like a club.
Yeah, like Boba Fett has like the big club.
Yeah, I'm sure he could do some damage too. But I think Fennec and that Fennec shot and then that Boba Fett shot was your favorite. Yes. Yep.
Those are my 2 favorite. Like,
there you go.
Like yo. So what? So let's like who next?
Who wants to go next?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Why don't we ask Tyler?
Tyler, what's your favorite?
Tyler, what? Oh, the favorite part for me had to be the I was aiming at the other one because that was when I got the most Star Wars for me. Like, yeah, I thought Boba Fett and Fennec was like that was crazy over the top combined with just the most incompetent stormtroopers we've ever seen.
Right. Yeah.
Like makes the stormtroopers in Solo look very, very good tactics.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Yeah, it was a little overplayed, that hand.
Boris? Yeah.
All right. Well, my favorite part would probably have to be when we see the signal going out, calling all the Jedis. Because who's on the other end? Other end? You know?
Yeah.
I think that I was joking around with Phil and Tyler a couple weeks ago because there was this thread somewhere on, I don't remember if it was Reddit or another forum, but it basically did say that Cal is the one who's going to pick up this message. We know that he is on a mission to find younglings, the kids. So let's see what happens.
Yeah. But he's going to be about 50 years old at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did the geek math on that one. It's like, well, I don't know if that actor can play him anymore, but somebody could.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of the same part. I mean, I know no one really liked the butterfly thing, but I kind of like the innocence of the butterfly moment, and just like him connecting was a good indication that something else was going to happen. But I do like when you see him in full Zen mode. Like I said earlier, I get the Jedi Fallen Order vibe, and I just love that scene. I just love the visuals of it. It to me was my favorite part.
Well, actually, the butterfly is deep geek cut on this one. They were featured when Vader was meditating in one of his comics. There was blue force butterflies that were surrounding him. So it might have been a call out to that. I think it's a long shot. Like it's
a stretch, but it also just shows that, Grogu is surrounding, understands his surroundings, and it also kind of shows that childlike innocence, and I like that. And then my second favorite part is the knee pad rockets. I have it's awesome.
Yeah, pow.
It doesn't seem effective, but okay, let's do it.
Let's just do it. Yeah.
There was like one stormtrooper like, "Don't leave me behind."
Yeah. Oh yeah, he jumped.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was ready to get out.
Yeah. Wait, maybe it's maybe everybody should like hide, like there's like one stormtrooper left.
Well, they probably left a couple behind. Yeah.
And
like
maybe
that.
Boba Fett like smash one of them, and like kind of like a running bulldog move.
Oh, running bulldog.
No, but he has like this stick and just stabs right there.
Oh, that's a little much, but yeah, maybe they'll show that.
But, I don't know.
Speculating.
The
future stunt coordinator right here.
I feel like I'm the funniest man in the world.
You keep on doing that, buddy.
Yes.
Awesome, guys. Well, Todd, let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys, so much for having us on. As you can see, Trent and I really like Star Wars, and we go on many tangents.
Yeah. I want to join this.
You want to join this podcast now? You want to just disband Big T, Little T?
I want to do Big T, Little T.
Yeah.
But I want to do it like what kind, like the Mondays on this podcast.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll just like insert us in here. Yeah, but you can find us at Big T Little T podcast on Instagram, BLILT podcast on Twitter. We are on Twitch every once in a while. We like playing video games too.
Yes.
So we're on Twitch at Big T Little T. So those are all the places you can find us. We do weekly breakdowns of the Mandalorian right now. The same thing. And then we're gonna switch back to Resistance season 2 after Mandalorian's over. Take a little Christmas break and then come back at it. Yeah. So guys, really appreciate you having us on. We love it.
Well, thank you so much. You guys
are
great.
All right, Phil. How about you tell our awesome listeners where they can send any feedback to?
Sure. You can find us on our website, www.itscanonpodcast.com. You can track us down on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at It's Canon Podcast. You can email us at show@itscanonpodcast.com. You can subscribe via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Amazon. We're on Amazon now in Canada, finally. Yeah, anywhere you find podcasts, you're going to find the It's Canon Podcast show. And if it's not there, please let us know and we will get there. Make sure that you subscribe and please leave a rate and review. We really do appreciate all the listeners.
Yes, we do. And, if you leave a review, that helps us get our goal of bringing in sponsors. But enough about that fun stuff. There's so much more to dissect. 2 more episodes, and we're going to be talking about them next Monday and the following Monday. So thank you, everyone. On behalf of Big T, Little T, on behalf of Phil, on behalf of Tyler, thank you for listening, and good night.